Mercedes Moné has AEW fans talking yet again with a special request. And it's not over the top, it's not outrageous, it's not even obnoxious. It's just Mercedes Moné continuing to try to make her name known. Mercedes Moné is one of AEW's biggest stars. She is someone who is a belt collector. She's undefeated in AEW, and she is on a collision course with AEW Women's Champion Toni Storm at All In Texas. But Mercedes Moné is someone that is consistently getting her name out there. She is always someone that fans are talking about, whether it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, and she did so yet again. Because while Mercedes Moné has mixed it up with some of the best that AEW has to offer in its women's division, she would also like to branch out. What do I mean by that? Well, she actually spoke about this in regards to an interview that she did with Variety. Mercedes Moné's status as a top tier attraction in AEW usually sees her get her way, right? The former legit boss recently made a special request to the higher ups in All Elite Wrestling and Tony Khan. The current TBS champion was asked in an interview with Variety about her take on intergender matches and if she wanted to square off against some of the top tier names that the men's division in AEW has to offer. Now, Moné, she was enthusiastic about this idea, whether it was a one-on-one singles match or a mixed tag team match against male wrestlers. The CEO expressed her desire to take on some of the best that AEW has to offer. I'm talking about heavy hitters, and this is what she had to say. I would definitely want to have an intergender match or a match, mixed tag team match. I think people like Speedball Mike Bailey, Ricochet, Swerve Strickland, Commander, The Beast Muertos, Okada. There's just so many men that I would love to team up with or fight against. Dream matches are endless in AEW. And dream matches are endless in AEW, but I also think that you need to be very careful when we talk about dream matches. We talk about male versus female, and we talk about Mercedes Moné going up against some of those heavy hitters. Ironically, she did not mention Will Ospreay, Hangman Page. Hey, maybe, just maybe, she forgot about them, but I would say you definitely want to go up against them or even an NJF. Now, before I get into why I think this would actually be a negative for Mercedes when it comes to some of the top tier stars, I think it should also be preferenced by this. Mercedes Moné is continuing to build her brand as Mercedes Moné, right? For years and years and years in WWE, she was known as Sasha Banks. And when you are known for a certain brand, well, it's going to take time to build up a new brand. And so she has various ventures, her wrestling career, her personal businesses, her modeling, her acting. There's so much business out there for the CEO to do. And so when we talk about male versus female matches, personally, full disclosure here, I'm not a huge fan of intergender matches. I think they come across as bad because if the woman is beating up a man, then okay, fine, it doesn't look believable, but hey, if that's your thing, go for it. But once a man starts beating up a woman, especially ragdolling them, I mean that infamous Cedric Alexander hitting his lumbar finisher to cancel Ray looked absolutely sickening almost a decade ago. Optically, it just doesn't look good. Either it's cringeworthy when a man's beating up a woman, or it doesn't look believable when a woman is beating up a man, right? Like there's not really a great outcome behind it. Now, I want to say this. Mercedes Moné taking on Ricochets or Mike Bailey's or upper card and down type talent, I'm okay with. But I would find it very hard to believe that Mercedes Moné can beat an Okada. She can beat a Kenny Omega, an MJF, a Hangman Page, a Will Ospreay, a Swerve Strickland, a John Moxley, a Bryan Danielson. Those types of names. I would find it hard to believe that she could do that. What do you get out of a Mercedes Moné versus an Okada match or a Mercedes Moné versus a John Moxley match? What is the benefit from it? Okay, because if you're talking about star power, sure, the star power is there, but I also think most people would agree that people are not going to believe in Mercedes Moné going over a John Moxley, a Hangman Page, a Swerve Strickland, a Will Ospreay. I just think it's hard to believe. And I understand to a certain degree you have to, turn off your disbelief, right? And you go at it like that. But let's just say you book it. Let's just say, hey, the promos are strong leading up to it. Hey, let's just say all the ratings are there. I don't know what Monet gets out of it. Because if Monet beats a John Moxley, then I think it actually hurts John Moxley. And I think if John Moxley beats Monet, I don't think he gains anything from it. And actually, I think Monet's stock and star power goes down more. So when we talk about male versus female, when we talk about intergender matches, I think the door needs to be shut at mixed tag team matches. I'm okay with mixed tag team matches if they are booked like this. If it is when a man is in the ring, then the other man has to come into the ring. There is no crisscrossing, there is no interaction. Female versus female, male versus male. It just doesn't come off well. It just doesn't. To me. Now look, maybe some of y'all down there will call me out and say I'm absolutely wrong, but I don't think I am. I really, really don't, because I don't see much positive out of it. Now, if you see it, let me know down in the comments. I just don't see it. I don't see it from a optical standpoint. I don't see it from a star making standpoint. I don't see it as a drawing standpoint. I just don't see it. Like I said, could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Mercedes Moné is a top tier star. You don't want to do anything that will knock her down a peg. You don't want to do anything that could hurt her stock, hurt her star power, and more importantly, hurt her drawing ability, because AEW has done a very good job in some respects, and others not so much, of building up their AEW women's division, right? They have brought in a ton of talent. They have elevated a ton of talent, but they've also missed out on some opportunities. Why Britt Baker is shelved, reportedly, she has backstage issues. Why Camille is shelved, I have no freaking idea. Deonna Purrazzo, can we bring her back? You lost out on Mariah May. Now, you've done a great job with Monet. You pushed her down everyone's throats, but she's a top tier star, so you have to do so. Toni Storm, timeless Toni Storm, phenomenal job. I think that's more on her than the promotion, but that's just me. So when we talk about these names, when we talk about, okay, the ongoing joke with Mercedes Moné is she feuds with someone, she beats them, and then they just disappear. Well, that's an AEW problem. That's not a freaking Mercedes Moné problem, right? You have to get to that point. You have to get to the point where that Mercedes Moné has a legit challenger. And up until this point, ahead of All In Texas, her showdown against women's champion timeless Toni Storm, I think really the only time that we've gotten a real threat is two instances, and I think both instances, AEW, they didn't live up to the full capabilities. Number one, Britt Baker, I could see her dethrone Monet as TBS champion, but I didn't have a problem with her losing. The other one was the whole Camille thing, right? Camille brought in, she's aligned with Monet, and then all of a sudden just plans are dropped completely, and we never see Camille again, right? It's weird. We didn't get a match, we didn't get anything. And Camille doesn't even know why she's not being brought back to TV. So I think you just got to be interested and very, very careful with that.